Okay, so the month of April was one of those months that I read so many things. I looked back and was kind of astounded at how much I read in the month of April. I will say that this was largely due to participating in 3 different readathons this month. So that hugely contributed to me reading a lot more. But also, I looked at it and several of these were graphic novels or Animorph books, which are pretty short. So that also helped with the whole having read, I think, 15 books this month, which is insane for me. Usually I read 5, maybe to 8 books in a month. So this was kind of crazy. I'm going to try not to make this super long. So I'm going to show you all the books that I read. But I probably won't talk about all of them in great detail. I will link you to the wrap-ups for the different read-alongs where I do better reviews of some of these books. Alright, I started off the month with The Midnight Watch by David Dyer, and I have a full review for this, but I absolutely adored this. This was a 5-star read. I actually read the NetGalley copy of this before it came out, and then ended up buying the physical copy because I liked it that much. And this is basically a Titanic related story, but it's from the perspective of the Californian. And that's all I'm going to say. If you want to hear more about it, then you can go check out the full review, and I talk a lot more in detail about this. So next up, I listened to the audiobook for Landline by Rainbow Rowell, and I really enjoyed this. I was not sure if I was going to. I like the way Rainbow Rowell writes, but I was sort of kind of not sure because this is her adult novel, and I ended up really enjoying this. I think I might have liked this more than Fangirl because it felt more relatable. This is basically about a woman who's going through a rough patch in her marriage, and then she ends up finding out that this landline at her childhood home can talk to her husband in the past, and it helps her sort of come to terms with some stuff, and it goes from there about how they go about mending their relationship. And it was really a cute story. The audiobook was great. The narrator was wonderful, and I definitely I listened to this very, very quickly because I just got so into it, and so I was listening to it around the house and everything. But this was definitely a good one, and one I would recommend on audiobook. So next up, I picked up the audiobook of The Japanese Lover. This is a historical fiction book set in America around World War II, and it's about a woman and her story of her Japanese lover who ends up in an internment camp in I think Montana, and it is a fascinating story of a different part of the war sort of that a lot of people don't talk about, and it just was such an interesting story, and I really, really liked the characters, and I thought that it was beautifully written and just something that I got super into. The audiobook for this one was really great too, and yeah, I would definitely recommend this one. It's the first thing that I have read of hers, but I will definitely be picking up other things by this author. Alright, so then we move into TBR Takedown. I will link that vlog and wrap up above, but I read Anya's Ghost, which was a graphic novel that I really enjoyed. I also listened to, actually no, that was for the next one. I finished Your Heart is a Muscle the Size of Your Fist, which is incredible. It's the story of, it's from quite a few perspectives of different people that would have been involved in the World Trade Organization protests in Seattle, and it is heart-wrenching and eye-opening, and one of those books that I just think is really important. Even if you aren't super familiar with the events of the World Trade Organization protests, I think with the state of our society, it rings really true, and it's definitely something I think that people would get a lot out of. It felt like one of those books that was just like a slow boil, like a simmer all the way up to the end, where it just sort of boiled over and the tension was so intense, and it was just fantastic. I cannot say enough about how much I love this book. I'm going to be doing a review of this book. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do just a review of this book or if I'm going to do a review and read the nonfiction book about the event and do them together. I haven't decided just because I haven't wanted to pick up the nonfiction yet, so I've been putting it off, but I haven't decided yet. But there will be some sort of review for this book coming because I absolutely adored it. So that takes us into the Genreathon. I have a wrap up for that as well, which I will link up here. I listened to the audiobook for The Dressmaker, which is another Titanic related book. This one was just okay. It had one of the worst love triangles I have ever seen, and that is all I'm going to say about that. Then I also finished the audiobook for Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Cristie, which was so fantastic. Thank you so much, Tanya, for recommending that for my BookTuber Recommends project. I had so much fun listening to that book. I did not want to stop listening to it because I just really wanted to know what was going to happen, and it was fantastic, and I will be picking up more Agatha Cristie. So after that, I picked up The Winner's Kiss, which is the third in the Winner's Crime, Winner's Curse, Winner's Crime, I can never remember, this trilogy, and it was a fantastic conclusion. I loved it every bit as much as I loved the other two books, and I would recommend this to anyone. I would recommend this series to anyone. It's YA, but it's got all this amazing political intrigue and a strong female character, and it does have a romance, but it's not insta-love, and it's very realistic and something that you can just sort of like understand and sink your teeth into, and it's just one of the best YA series that I've read in a very, very long time. So then I read the fourth book in the Animorphs series, which is from Cassie's perspective, and then during the Dewey's 24-hour readathon, I read the fifth one, which is from Marco's perspective. This is just me continuing on with this series out of nostalgia. I cannot wait to see when I get to the point where things are new, but yes, fantastic. If you are at all interested in middle grade, I don't know, science fiction, is that what it is? This is such a fun series, and it's a light read and something that I like to pick up between serious books. So then, right before Dewey's 24-hour readathon, I picked up the graphic novel series Giant Days, which I'm obsessed with. I want these issues to come out faster because I cannot get enough of this. The characters are so fantastic. They remind me of my friends in college, and it's kind of like, I feel like if you liked Lumberjanes, you'll definitely like this, but I feel like even if you didn't like Lumberjanes, this might be something you like because the characters get a little darker and it's a little more serious and real-worldy, not so like friendship to the max. But there's still that like female friendship aspect to it, but it's fantastic. I love the art style. It's right up my alley, and I read it on audio or on ebook from the library, and I will absolutely be buying the physical copies because I love it and I just want to keep looking at it and just being obsessed with the characters. So then during Dewey's, I read 2 graphic novels, and again, I'll link that wrap up if you're interested in more in-depth thoughts on those. But I read Moss Volume 1, loved it, can't wait to get my hands on the second one. And I read Rat Queens Volume 1, which I thought was okay. I liked the plot line and the characters, but I wasn't a really big fan of the art style. I'm just not a blood and guts gore kind of person, and there was a lot of that in there. And if you are not into foul language, that is also not something that you want to pick up, so there's that. But, you know, they were good readathon material. And then the last book that I finished this month was Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was super cute. It was a great readathon pick because it read really fast and the format was fantastic. I just really enjoyed this, and I understand why a lot of people were talking about it about 3, maybe 6 months ago, I don't know, on BookTube, because it is really, really good. So that's sort of my like quick and dirty wrap up for April. I can't believe I read as many books / graphic novels that I did, because that's just very unlike me, and I know that this month is not going to be that many, so maybe I gave myself a buffer for the rest of the year, because I don't think I'll be reading quite that many books going forward in any given month. But yes, I definitely enjoyed participating in all the readathons I participated in this month, and I actually read a lot of things that I really, really enjoyed this month, and that's always exciting. So yes, if you've read any of these and want to chat about them, definitely leave comments below, and I would love to hear what your favorite book you read this month was, or just how you're doing. All right, well, I will talk to you again soon. Bye!